Life is often full of disappointments, but one of the things that was not a disappointment in 2024, holy shit, it's 2024, was the release of the brand new TV series, Ted. Ted is a limited series with 7 or 8 episodes that was released on Peacock, I believe Peacock, it was Peacock earlier this year. It is a Seth MacFarlane project because he wrote Ted. If you didn't know he was, Seth MacFarlane was in this, I don't know what to fucking tell you. And it is a show about the early life of Ted before the movies took place. It's a prequel series. Ted and John Bennett are both in high school. This is coming after Ted went through his small period of famousness. And it is about him and teenage John Bennett growing up in high school life, being teenagers, getting themselves in a bunch of shit and issues that you would expect them to get into. Sometimes I can't tell if this fucking camera's straight or not, and it aggravates the shit out of me. I can't even lie. Now, since this is a prequel series and this takes place when John Bennett is in high school and Ted is in high school, it makes sense to say that Mark Wahlberg did not return for his role as John Bennett, considering that he's 50, I think. And another mind-blowing factor is that the original Ted movie came out in 2012, meaning that this series came out fucking 12 years after, the success of the original film, and that's just a crazy concept to me, that this series and the concept of Ted and everything that it has become so popular. It's been around for a very, very long time. Mark Wahlberg did not return for his role as John Bennett. I'm sure he will in the future. I'm pretty certain a Ted 3 film will hit be falling in our laps here pretty shortly, and I'm sure he'll return for that. But a new young actor does a phenomenal job capturing John Bennett, and he does it in a way where he doesn't try to be a younger Mark Wahlberg. He tries to be the character of John Bennett, but younger. I know you heard me say that sentence and you're like, yeah, fucking of course. But it's just the way that this actor plays John and plays that Boston accent, and he plays just a teenage version of the character that Mark Wahlberg created. And it really does feel like it's just a younger pre-puberty teenager. He's already went through puberty, but you know what I'm saying. Somebody who hasn't gone through a bunch of life experiences quite yet and is a little immature. That actor who does a phenomenal job playing a young John Bennett is Max Burkholder. Farland, of course, absolutely kills it as Ted. Georgia Wigham, who plays Blair, also a phenomenal job. Your 3 main character in the shows, or the 3 main characters in this show. However, they also expand to the mom and dad who play Maddie and Susan, who's a friend of fucking Seth MacFarlane, comes in and plays the father, who is Maddie, an old school, early generation father of a household in the 80s or the 90s whenever this takes place. Elena Ubach, I don't know how to pronounce her name, I apologize, plays the mom. Susan Beckett, or not Beckett, Bennett. Good job of playing the innocent, stereotypical mother housewife of the 80s. But they fleshed them out so well where Ted and John kind of float to the side sometimes. You wouldn't think would be a good thing, but Seth MacFarlane manages to pull it off in such a successful way where you're watching it and you're like, you want to see more of these characters. You want to see more of Blair because her reaction and her comedic timing is so on point. You want to see Maddie because you want to know what the fuck he's going to say next. And you want to see more of Susan because she's a treat. Star of the show, Seth MacFarlane as Ted, it does a phenomenal job, of course. Timing of the show is great. The chemistry that Seth MacFarlane's Ted and the younger John Bennett, Max Burkholder, have is what works so well about it is that it reminds you of the relationship between an older John Bennett and an older Ted, between Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane. And this just feels like a younger stage of that. Anybody thought that the Ted series is going to be as good as it actually is, but there's jokes in here that are just funny as shit. And it's not like cheap comedic, stuff. It can have some of that too, but it's the characters and how funny they are that make you want to sit through an entire episode. Through an entire episode, I binged this show in about 2 days. Find themselves in unbelievable predicaments. And I know a lot of people like bitch and complain that this is very similar to Family Guy. I didn't really get that vibe. There's no cutaways. There's no signature Family Guy cutaways. Still, to me, it has its own flavor. But I just wanted to sit down and talk about the Ted series a little bit and how much I really liked it, and say how impressed I am with the work of Seth MacFarlane, who can seem to do no wrong these days. Of it is that a show that we didn't think was going to be any good found a way to reinvent and reinvigorate this entire series, considering that Ted 2 didn't do as well as they were hoping for. Now, I actually really like Ted 2, but I know that the audience reactions to it, I believe, was a bit of a decline from Ted 1 to Ted 2. But now you have this Ted prequel series where everybody's clamoring and everybody wants a season 2, and rightfully deserved. Season 2 of the show, you want to see a season 3 of the show, you want to see Ted 3, you want to see Mark Wahlberg come back. So simple as an alive, drunk, high teddy bear that was the concept of Ted 1 12 years ago, has fleshed out and become a character that you want to revisit and see, just because it's a good time. Series, I definitely recommend checking it out. Go see it and let me know what you think about it. Drop your opinions in the comments below. But the new Ted show is nothing short of absolutely amazing.